All right, we're going to start the meeting, 6:30 for March 2nd, 2026. We'll take roll call. Alderman Richardson? Robinson, why did I say Richardson? I
changed
said
his
Rich
name?
and Robinson together.
Robinson.
So, hey.
I'm here.
Alderman Inman,
Present.
Alderman Danko,
Here.
Alderman Kreinbrink,
Here.
and Alderman Erickson here. Okay, review of the semi-monthly bills. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, I do on page, it says page 5, but it may be page 6. Did we get 3 quotes for a new plow truck?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a contract.
It was back,
There was a contract? Okay.
yeah.
That was my big one that I didn't know about.
I had a question. It was on page 4. It's a Pytrek, Rockford. It says hydraulic cylinder rebuild, and then 3 jetter hose repairs. Was there damage to our Vector that required that repair? Because to damage a hydraulic cylinder, that's not a good thing.
You know what would be neat, would be as if we had a superintendent that could show up every once in a while to a meeting, and we could ask these questions of him, because he'll be here shortly, but there's no communication. We don't get any pass on.
I think when time changes here and we have different leadership, I think we'll be able to
And that down to,
make sure that happens.
Well, like I said, we had them come before, and however they're compensated, I know that was brought up a while back, but, I mean, you get off early during the week or we work something out, but we're not gonna expect them to be any extra, so if they're at a 3-hour meeting, 2 Mondays a month, 6 hours, you have one day
Yeah,
off during the
I was
month.
also thinking on the way here, I don't know if there's a way for us to have a Q&A session, like section to where if we saw that there were questions on this, that we could put them into a question
Portal?
board. Yep. And then it gives them enough time on Monday I mean, because this really came out, what, on Wednesday?
Yeah,
yeah.
So if it came out on Wednesday, we could ask the questions in that portal, and then we could have our answers by this meeting and not have any questions really come up in this meeting. We would have our answers. This one here, it says that the hydraulic cylinders, they were on the plow trucks, and they were due to salt pitting. And then the hoses, those were just regular hose repairs. Which, that's normal wear and tear. I was concerned that there was a cylinder or something on the, misuse or something took place. So that looks like it's legit.
Anybody else have anything?
I saw someone here about tools, I don't remember where it was under. But it looked like there was a bunch of tools, toolboxes. Who was that bought for?
That was for the water department.
Yeah.
They had no tools.
Okay, I think we should inquire why there were no tools, because in 2019, we bought a brand-new water truck. And one of the things that we did at the same time we bought a brand-new water truck was to buy brand-new tools to go to the water department. So I'm concerned that
Where'd those tools go?
we keep buying things, and then we have to keep buying things because nothing is accounted for.
Well, I've been thinking that like an inventory is a good idea.
I believe it's been a while back, but I think an inventory was done when Sean was here, of the tools. And they had a record as far as what they had of so much. Because if you go way back, we've had superintendents in the past that wouldn't buy stuff because they thought, well, if they kept the cost down in their budget, it would reflect. And obviously that was before any of you were ever on the council, but that was the thought process back then. Was if they didn't spend money, it would reflect in that. But you need tools to do work.
Yeah, and I mean, this says a socket set, a chisel set, and a tool chest. Like, I don't think that that's exorbitant. I think the tool chest is probably to make sure everything's in one spot versus here and there and sitting on a shelf. So I think that's kind of doing your inventory per se, you know?
We also got the special trucks, water and sewer both, that have the compartments in there. So the tools are out of the weather, not in the back of an open pickup truck.
Right.
So they can be locked, secured, safe, and out of the weather. So any tools that they got in 2019 ought to still be there and ought to be in perfect shape. My thought, my opinion, but that was the whole point of getting those kinds of trucks.
Didn't you tell me that they didn't have any tools?
No, they were using for a hammer, a bent pipe wrench. I mean, it was brought to my attention, I'm like, you need what? You need some tools. Where they ever were before, I have no idea. It's way before my time.
And like I said, it just, unfortunately, I mean, yes, 2019 was 6 years ago, but if stuff was bought brand new 6 years ago, they should still be there.
You would think.
I mean, tools do get lost. I mean, like a hammer can get lost, but you shouldn't be without one. You should, I mean, I think I got 3 or 4 of them at home, you know? So
Absolutely.
I go to garage sales for my stuff half the time because I'm too damn cheap to go spend the money.
Or you got it hand-me-down from parents or.
Yeah,
whatever.
grandparents or whatnot. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to that. I think it would be good probably to make sure that, you know, the superintendents do check and make sure that they have the tools on the trucks and have the tools in the shop. And when things get lost, let's note it and buy new ones, or when they break, let's note it and buy new ones. But just to use the proper tool for the job too. I find it disheartening that we're using caveman tools to try to
Right.
do a job when we could go to
agree.
the hardware store
When
and
he told me
get
that,
what
I
we need.
agreed. I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
Probably not a bad idea, and it wouldn't take long to do an inventory on a rain day or whatever the case is. Make a list, type it up, and we go from there.
You got a 3-inch socket set from this size to that size, you got a 1/2 inch from here to there, so.
And to be honest, they should have that stuff in the truck, but there should be something in their shop too.
Yeah.
Separate where you don't have to, but if it's a pricey item or something you only use once in a great while, sure, you could have one of them.
Right. And I used to just put that stuff in the shop locked up so that it didn't accidentally get
Get
left
lost.
somewhere or, you
Right.
know. You didn't use it for 6 months or 9 months and where did it go? Well, gosh, I used that over at this job site. Gosh, I hope I didn't leave it there.
And you probably know from the fire service too. I mean, stuff has gotten left behind.
Yep.
Whether it be the fire department or law enforcement. I mean, even ambulances, I mean, there's always stuff that's left over.
Sure.
So,
All right, does anybody have any more questions on the bills?
I don't.
Okay. Is there any unfinished business?
I don't really want to beat a dead horse, but from last meeting, I'm still kind of, all the safety stuff that was bought that I don't know is safety, you know. So I had emailed the mayor about it as well, and actually, Fred, he asked me to get with you to see if we could figure out what's PPE and what's not PPE. I mean, I know I had the question that 12 orange trucker hats is not really safety gear because they're trucker hats. So 12 orange trucker caps, black and orange. Also the orange, I mean, technically we have to provide hard hats, anti-fog, safety goggles, face shields, or safety glasses, respiratory protection, gloves, hearing protection, and high-vis vests. I don't know that, you know, the bright orange t-shirts count.
As high-vis?
Well, as now what we have to provide for safety. I mean, to me, that's just everyday wear clothes. I
So
mean, unless,
there's 2 different ways of looking at it with the new OSHA rules coming out for the temperature rules. You you kind of want to limit the layers. So there's an option for you to use a vest.
Right.
That's equivalent, or use a shirt that's equivalent.
But if they only bought 12 shirts and there's 5 people, what are they saying? Just keep one shirt in your locker in case you need it?
My understanding was that some of the people had them.
But if they're not
Already.
wearing it every day already, then I think we should just provide vests. But I still like the idea that they all wear one type of shirt. You know what I'm saying? Like high vis on the back, it says City of Sandwich. And that would be their like quote unquote uniform shirt. You know, these are the shirts that you're gonna wear. Then everybody looks the same. They have the same thing. And well, then, yeah.
Thing.
But I mean, I don't think that 12 orange trucker caps, we have to provide hard hats, not ball caps.
I think probably what they were doing with that is just the solar. If you don't have to have a hard hat on for the operation at hand, the task at hand, then you can wear a hat that's high vis, that's blocking the sun, so you're not getting sunburned. That's the other thing, you have to protect from solar too.
That wasn't in there when I looked it up. It says,
Every place that I've worked at, you have sunscreen or sun protection that's given to you.
What about the sweatshirts? Wasn't there sweatshirts too?
yeah,
I think what we should do is we should turn this over to the superintendents to come up with what everybody has, because it sounds like there's like this misalignment, right, as to what everybody has, because there's a clothing allowance and then there's this high vis that was just bought, right?
mm-hmm,
So like where I've worked before, you had a high vis coat, you had a high vis vest, and then you could get high vis apparel as well, but that would came out of your clothing allowance.
right. Well, I think that would fall along where if we just did one, like if we just ordered everything from one site instead of, you know, different, you know, somebody buys a sweatshirt for 35, but then the next person buys one for 110. You know, if we have just one place where we get everything, even the safety glasses, the gloves, all that stuff, you know, versus here's your, you know, you can get 100 pairs at $3 each or something, you know, if you buy in bulk instead of spending $15 on a pair, you know, for the same kind that you could get if you bought it all in bulk.
I think if, you know, if they have a uniform allowance, I agree we need to be better as far as them being identified as City of Sandwich. So whether it be the vest that has City of Sandwich on it, or a shirt, something somewhere, they have to have it. We're going to be having staff, hopefully at some point in time, within the next 10 years, going to houses to find out who has lead service lines. So it would be nice if they had identification, because that's also how scams happen. People knocking on the door saying, hey, we need to check this, we need to do that. So again, they should have identification, something. Whatever we have to provide for the PPE that's available for them, the eye and ear protection, that kind of stuff, yes, that's what we buy as a city. If they have their uniform allowance, and if they wanna waste their uniform allowance, and if they wanna buy a $200 pair of jeans as opposed to a $25 pair of jeans at Rural King, then that's up to them. They only have so much uniform allowance to spend. And once they've spent their uniform allowance, and a superintendent should be responsible enough to, if they're not dressed appropriately for work, they're not wearing, you know, boots, they're not wearing that kind of stuff, then they get sent home to come back with that kind of stuff. If they don't have that kind of uniform, well, they can't come back to work until they are dressed appropriately. And if they don't have it, then they have to buy it out of their own pocket, if they haven't, you know, used their uniform allowance wisely. So that would be my suggestion. You know, if we were a bigger department where we had staffing to be able to do a clothing store type thing and divvy that up, but we don't have answers to basic things from our superintendents at this point in time, mostly just because we haven't spoke to them. You know, we haven't talked to them, I think. And like Fred said, maybe that's gonna change once we do talk to superintendents. But unless you talk to a superintendent in person, email, text, we're not gonna get any answers from them, so. We have to be able to ask them. Don't know if that helps or not. Not really.
I don't know. I mean, I think we still need to maybe figure out what falls under the safety.
Well, I think, once again, I mean, the budget line item is budgeted somehow. Those numbers come through based upon the superintendent's needs, right? So maybe we just say, hey, illustrate to us what those needs are. It's how many shirts, how many hats, how many vests, how many hard hats, that sort of thing. And as long as they're within budget, they're within budget. But we have to make sure that everybody's accounted for. You
Right.
can't have, 4 shirts purchased and you need to have 15 of them,
Right.
right? So fair and equitable across the board.
Okay.
I think maybe a takeaway with that is maybe if each, council member that has one of those operations group as the liaison, go back and talk to them and see if that's feasible to gather that. So the sewer, the water, and the streets, right? Because we don't go to chief and say, hey, how many reflective vests are you buying? He knows how many he needs and that are in there, and it's laid out very, very explicitly.
15.
Get 11 and a half.
Approval of the minutes for February 26, 2026. Can I get a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And any audience comments? All right, then, can I get a motion to send the semi-monthly bills totaling $742,260.50 to council, please?
I'll make the motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.